Mats, FutureWei's made a big investment in the WebXR ecosystem. Could you talk a little bit about what's behind the work that you guys are doing from the business perspective on the importance of WebXR?
Of course, thank you, Ben. So let's start first with the PC. As we know today, studies have shown that 60% of the time, at least, we're using the web and web apps, and maybe even more, including myself. And the reason for that is clear. Everything I really need today is the stuff I need is on the internet. And yet we haven't seen this kind of moment on the VR HMDs, but the time is there. I'm convinced the web will also win in WebXR. WebXR, as we all know, provides some great capabilities. You can join with just a link. You can work across devices all over the world. But for WebXR to really win and to be supported, the use cases need to be expanded. We need to see more use of PWAs. In WebXR, payment must be easier. Voice assistance must be better and easier to use. And from FutureWei side, we are investing in the WebXR ecosystem. Last year, we started our partnership with Galia at Yönet to get Wolvic in place and have it supported across the devices. Now the browser is here. We are looking into how we can support different frameworks to help drive better experience, as well as making it easier for the end users to add content. We have yet to see what will be the TikTok moment for WebXR. And once we see this experience coming into place, we also need to find ways to monetize, and we are working on plans to support that in 2023 and beyond. That's a short intro. Thank you.
Thank you, Mats. Again, I apologize for that echo setting that I had there. Ayşegül, can we get a mic check?
Hi, how
there
are you?
Hey, thank you so much for joining us. Ayşegül agreed to join us yesterday, and she's got some updates for us from the W3C Immersive Web Working Group. This was supposed to happen before all of us came on here, but we're going to pick up the importance of WebXR panel with all of us in a few minutes. But Ayşegül, please take it away.
Sure. Hi, everyone. This has been a very exciting year for us at the Immersive Web Working Group and the community group. We were able to publish the candidate recommendation this year for WebXR and augmented reality modules, which means that they are going to be stable and implementers can start implementing and it's not going to change, which is great. And Gamepad API is about to be also published. The work has been done. It's just going through the reviews. The other good news for us is our charter has been extended 2 more years, which means that we have our work plan for the next 2 years. And we are hoping that some of the community group work will move to our working group and get on the track of being published as our spec. And well, there's some excitement about the model element and navigation. Those are the hot topics that we've been discussing in the community and working group. And we are hoping that there will be more participation from the implementers, from the browser implementers and engine implementers like yourself. That's pretty much it, but I can go into details if you have any questions, Ben.
Well, thank you. I'm so excited, particularly for the navigation API. Our meta traversal thing was all about getting portals working across this, and it really is in the W3C's domain to get navigation working. And what we're all hoping is that at some point we'll be able to traverse the metaverse through navigation portal APIs that make everything interoperable. But before we switch the panel, the one thing that I think everybody is thinking about is with the release of the Quest Pro last week and the mixed reality pass-through that is going on there, and some of the AR capabilities with the new module and so forth. Could you tell us a little bit about the updates to the AR module that just shipped?
Well, AR module has been in pretty good shape for a while now. So it's talking about, starting a pass-through session, and there's there are other modules that we are working on, like lighting estimation, that makes working with AR very interesting, and also not in part of the AR module. So we do have a bunch of modules, right? Not in the AR module. Something that's interesting to me, very interesting to me, is the anchors. And Oculus browser just implemented the persistent anchors. It's still experimental, but that means that in a pass-through environment, in an AR environment, you can leave some information into specific places and anchor them on specific places, and they are going to be persisting for the next sessions as well. So it won't go away. I can leave some notes for you, and you can take a look, which is really exciting.
Well, thank you so much. It really is exciting. I can't wait to see all the developers come up with WebXR AR experiences. We've been waiting for years, and now we have a device that supports it. So we're hoping that come by the end of the year that a lot of developers out there will submit AR enabled applications for a Poly for this year. So with that, I'm going to now transition us to the full panel setting here. Let me switch over. I was going to go first, but since I didn't have my mic ready and I had Mats go first, I'm going to call upon Jonthan. Now, good morning, Jonthan, or good afternoon in Europe.
Good afternoon.
How are you? It's great to see you again. And I was wondering if you could sort of give us the engine builder's perspective of how having additional software available for developers to be able to reach an audience is going to help.
So I guess for anyone on the web, and especially for us as engine builders, it's amazing to have this unified platform that we can target, right? So for any developer building an XR app right now, if he builds on native, he needs to deploy his application multiple times and deploy it, submit it to multiple app stores. The web unifies all of that and represents a single target that you can deploy to, upload, and then it's just accessible from everywhere. The ease of access through a link makes the web just like amazingly shareable and just like super fast to get into, low friction to get people into your application. And I think it just makes everything more simple and more fun to work with, right? Effectively, 4 years ago, that's what we saw. And we were like, oh, so it's much easier to deploy. It's much easier to access for the web, and it's cross-platform. All the devices supported at the same time. Especially now with Wolvic, we have another really strong browser that brings many new devices into WebXR and allows you to even support devices that aren't out yet, right? And like, imagine that. I mean, you can already support the Lynx XR1, for example, without having ever had a dev kit or any other device that might be released in the future. 4 years ago, we tried building a bunch of these experiences, and we found it was actually really difficult to do, and we didn't have the support of the development tools that we were used to on native with like all the big engines. And we figured, wow, it's actually amazing how much low-level optimization we need to do. And that led us to build Wonderland Engine to relieve these kinds of jobs from the developers and allow them to focus on their applications and their users so that we can take care of the low-level optimizations for them.
That was great. Thank you, Jonthan. Wonderland Engine has been doing such a great job giving creators a tool that they can not just publish WebXR experiences, but high-end experiences with that are highly performant with frame rates. I love, one that comes to mind is Santa's Workshop last year that SourceScoot created, and it just had all these beautiful textures and it flowed so well. So, congratulations, and please continue the great work because it's an indispensable tool for the creators. And
performance is always super important for VR. Just the comfort in VR is amazing.
It really
with that,
is.
I think I want to highlight what Matt said before around the challenges that we might still have. We need to focus more on PWAs, fix monetization, make it more easy to monetize. And I think there's no one who has such a holistic approach to helping WebXR right now as FutureWei. So I want to thank them personally for sponsoring this space and helping, especially Wolvic, to be the browser that is open and is available to all these devices that now have the opportunity to support WebXR, right? Which they might previously not have seen as a priority, but now since it's fairly straightforward to them, thanks to Galia, Wolvic, and FutureWei, that opens like the WebXR space now massively.
Well, we're all grateful to FutureWei. They sponsored the Polys and the WebXR summits and Wolvic, and they're doing in the community. And but what you just said is a perfect transition in to introduce Elijah. Hi, Elijah. Sorry you were sort of off screen there for a moment. Thanks for being here. This is Elijah from Zesty.Market, which is actually one of the only groups that is doing a transactional infrastructure with WebXR. And so could you, tell us about how you're helping to create a monetization platform with WebXR?
Yeah, sure. So, so just to like maybe tell our story a little bit from the beginning, when I first got into, VR, it was with the Quest 1, and it was pretty cool to see them ship with the Meta browser. At that time, it's called Oculus browser, and I think there was also Firefox Reality at the time. And just kind of checking out the experiences and the apps that were on the new tab pages, there were developers, like indie developers, just like building kind of big demos and experiments and stuff like that. And just talking to them, they had no monetization strategy. How are you planning to make this into a business? And so we started out very simply with a very centralized ad network. Later, and then we realized that there's so many different ways to monetize WebXR apps beyond just ads. I think we're starting to expand out into seeing more experimental and more interesting monetization strategies like in-app purchases, and then we realized that like brings up a whole new suite of challenges like inventory and identity and wallets, and so I think from our humble beginnings as a very simple monetization solution through ads, we're starting to expand into some more creative outlets that helps developers turn what they're doing into business. So excited to chat about WebXR, and I think it's great to have Wolvic as another secondary browser choice. Just generally, I think it's good to have diversity in the browser space, and I think it allows. It gives users more freedom to choose from, other alternatives outside of the Meta ecosystem. So.
Well, thanks, Elijah. I think that is a critical missing piece right now that I think you're ahead of a lot of people working on, but that's what the metaverse needs at large, and certainly the WebXR ecosystem. So there's a lot of opportunity there. So I really think that your work is visionary. And so everybody, if you haven't seen Zesty.Market, please check out what Elijah and his teams have been working on. And next, I'm going to introduce our friend Dr. Keith Chan, the 2020 Poly winner for WebXR Education Experience of the Year. And also, Keith has appeared several times across the WebXR summits, even gave the Education Poly. But this all started for him because he's the Professor of Anthropology that actually took A-Frame and built an experience to be able to share the scale of the things that you're teaching in anthropology to your students. And so, Keith, can you tell us about how that all came about and how helpful it is to be able to use WebXR to create and educate?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me again. It's always awesome to be part of these events. But yeah, so it just started out with the Oculus Quest, as it was called, and just going to a lot of different museums with the street view and YouTube tours, and I was inspired to make one for what I teach, which is biological anthropology. So looking into ways to make that happen. I landed on A-Frame. There's a lot of great options out there. That's the one I went with, and just started building. And it wouldn't have been possible without all the hard work put into the framework, and then also at the browser level, like with Wolvic especially, it's very encouraging to see something that is going to be cross-platform, because then again, as Jonthan mentioned, it's easier on the creator side to manage things like that, which are more out of my area. And for education especially, one issue is that things going obsolete is an issue. So targeting things like that don't exist yet, that ability really makes it attractive, hopefully for other creators to get into and make something that reflects what they teach. And of course that helps at the education level and get students engaged and really see how cool their subject is. So yeah, past to present here.
Well, thank you, Keith, and that's a great lead into what I'm here to talk about, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing, advocating for WebXR in the community. And you hit on it, which is future proofing, because I've been a web developer since the 90s, and so I've gone through a lot of the different iterations of the web. And I actually have a video here that I'm going to put on and let play in the background, but it's a data visualization of 25 years of browsers changing. And so I'm just going to talk over this as it's playing. So all these years we have seen browsers come and go, and this data visualization, this is actually sped up 6 times to show you 25 years in 1 minute. But during this era that we're in now, Flash reigned supreme. And in 2010, Steve Jobs ostensibly executed Flash, and it died. And what died with it was all of my work and all the work of thousands of developers that have been from across the web. A countless amount of investment was lost, and this is something that is a peril to the ecosystem, where we want to see these experiences endure. So WebXR, to become a standard early on in the days of the metaverse, is essential for us to be able to have this content that we're all working on here survive. And that's really my interest in it. And back in the day, I had a friend who was sort of the archetype of the hacker. This old school guy, and he was really a tough, rugged character. And he had people at Apple, and he was one of the early testers of OS 10. And I actually saw OS 10 in a command line loaded on his laptop in a diner, probably in 1999. And I said, well, why don't you build a browser? And he was like, no, I don't want to build a browser. So I think that stayed with me, because it really gave me an appreciation of how much work it is to create a browser, and how important it is to have a spec working. So I think that when we're talking about Wolvic, I think that we have a long-term vision here, where it's very good for the ecosystem to have choices. I think it's very important for developers to have a uniform experience, to be able to not have to debug experiences on too many devices, on too many different platforms. But the most important thing is that WebXR's reach is extended to users wherever they are. And we love WebXR because it runs on desktop and it runs mobile, but also the essential piece of this is that it is an immersive browser, and immersive is a very different thing. You are inside the web. That is what the metaverse is all about, and that's the potential that we want to see it live up to. So Wolvic is the only immersive only browser. There is no desktop or mobile version. Firefox is alive and well, but Firefox Reality is now Wolvic. So I think that for the developers out there testing, I think that as the Igalia team explained before, they have a roadmap. We're going to hear more about that from Brian Cardell in the next hour. So please stay with us for that. And Ayşegül's got to go in a moment, so I'm going to bring Ayşegül back on. So if you could just share, is there sort of any insider things you'd like to share and encouragement for WebXR developers out there?
Oh, yes. So you were just talking about how wasteful it was that Flash went away, all of the developments went away, and that's very sad. So to emphasize your point, that is true for, I mean, for most of the mobile development or headset-specific developments. Previous headsets, games don't work in the newer ones, but WebXR solves that problem, thankfully, and we are so excited about being able to enable experiences on every device and having it everywhere. One exciting thing that I've recently heard from one of our editors is that on Miracosta browser is the #1 application that's being used, which is really cool for us. And since we have the drafts ready to go, I think this is a great time to be an implementer or start experimenting, because things are not going to be changing very rapidly from here on. Yeah, that's...
Well, thank you. I'm so glad that you were able to join us on such short notice. We really appreciate it. And it's, to you and your colleagues at the W3C, I'll name Chris and Manish and Ada and everybody who we all know from the community.
Yeah.
It's so important what you guys are doing. And I'm really thrilled about the news coming out this year of everything that you've been moving forward and the charter renewal. So, we're here for you for the next couple of years to see this thing through and to get WebXR locked in as a standard that people can really rely that their experiences that they build now will still be around.
Yeah, thank you for being our biggest supporter and getting people excited about WebXR.
Well, it's truly my joy. So thanks for being here, Ayşegül. I know you have a W3C meeting kicking off at the top of the hour. So thank you for joining us, and we will see you at the next event.
Yeah, very nice meeting you all. Bye now.
Okay, bye-bye. So now we have a couple of demos to show. I'm going to bring up, first of all, we have, let's go with Keith's first. Keith has a preview of his new experience. So I'm queuing this up right now. So Keith, if you'd be so kind as to talk us through what we're sharing here. Here is your thing. So take it away, Keith.
Yes. Yeah, thanks. So this is Paleo CA, and it is a dark ride. Another thing I did during the quest was watch a lot of roller coaster dark ride tours. Being confined at home. So I was like, I want to make one that's educational. So this is taking you through. This is downtown LA, and this is a model that on Sketchfab, Jack.Simmons has put up for Creative Commons use. So just showing downtown LA, and there'll be narration that's better than what I'm doing right now. They'll introduce going into this time tunnel where you'll end up 40,000 years ago in LA and see what prehistoric life was like there. So that's talking about the setting up the different environments that used to be in LA. And all this, I shared this, a short clip of this just on social media, and got such great response from the community. So I'm very happy about that. So, okay, exiting the time tunnel. There's raccoons living 40,000 years ago. So maybe not the most outstanding prehistoric life, but they are there. And yes, these are models made by the La Brea Tar Pits Museum, and they also put it out for Creative Commons. I made a baby version off of theirs. got to have those. And so yeah, it's involved a lot of research in areas I was not familiar with, including like plant life and the environment, and that model is also by the La Brea tar pit. So yeah, hopefully fleshing it out. It'll be like 6 minutes long, and it's a great educational experience for me making it using new techniques, and very happy that the people think it's cool and say they love this.
One thing that you didn't mention when we were going through the tunnel is that there's special shaders there. I believe the Ada Rose Cannons shaders. What was that effect that we were going through?
Oh, the time tunnel effect is actually just following some Blender tutorials about animation. What Ada Rose Cannon contributed, one of the things she contributed, she's accidentally making this project with me, with all her contributions to the community, is that some of the small plants are procedurally generated. They're procedurally placed around the scene. So every time you go through the ride, the plants will be a little different, just to make it a little more interesting.
That's so cool. And one last thing to remind us is that video that you just saw was shot in Wolvic. So one of the things that I did a side-by-side comparison, and one of the things that I thought was very cool with the way that the video turned out was that the color richness was actually very strong in Wolvic. And so now we're going to go to our second demo. So Elijah, I'm going to bring on your Robot Rally demo as shown in two versions of Wolvic, one running on Quest, one running on Huawei VR. And so I'm going to turn this on. So would you give us a narration, please?
Yeah, sure. I didn't know you guys had something. That's super cool. Yeah, I guess the left is Wolvic. No, the left is Meta. Wait.
Both are Wolvic. Left
Meta.
will be the Quest, right is the Huawei
Okay,
VR.
Got it on the Huawei. Yeah, so with Robot Rally, I think our goal was to initially, we just saw a lack of multiplayer content and games that you could play for fun in the headsets, and so Robot Rally was our very first kind of idea. We had a couple of prototypes before, but nothing that was like as fleshed out as Robot Rally. And by the way, this is the old version of the map, like one of the first iterations of the map. We have a new map in there that's much more arcade-like. And we just found that the demographic of gamers that play on headsets was the Roblox crowd, definitely younger, somewhere between like 13 to 20. Well, that's who Ghostface was. Okay, and so I think one of the things that we've been finding is that there's voice chat enabled, and so one of the coolest things about XR, in my opinion, is a social presence. And so we wanted to build something where random internet strangers could find each other, talk to each other, and build some sort of relationship with one another, where Robot Rally becomes a social meeting place where people can find each other and have fun. And so far we're currently featured on the Meta browser, and hopefully we can be featured on the Wolvic browser as well. But so far we've had about 15,000 players come through, and at any point in the day, especially during Eastern time, evenings, we tend to there's always like 5 or 6 players there to play with. And so one of the questions that we always have is like, how many players are there in WebXR? How many people are actually using the browser? And I think Robot Rally, just by playing in the headset, you can get a real-time sense of how busy the ecosystem is. Truly, there's if you build something, if you're a developer, there's an audience for you to reach. So yeah, really excited to see it grow. And I think one of the things that we've been working on is identity, and so giving people an account so that they can manage their inventory, so people can cosmetics and apparel really make the most sense in a social setting. So yeah, it's something that we're looking to add next. Hopefully that was it.
Thanks, Elijah. Yeah, this video is ending now. So the next 8 minutes we have Brian Cardell is going to be coming back to talk about the vision behind Wolvic and the plan. But what we're going to do is a little bit of a lightning round here. So I'll start with you, Elijah, because we just left off there. So our lightning round topic is, what is the most exciting thing for you on the horizon of WebXR?
Yeah, no, it's a pretty loaded question, I think. But you know, one of the things that, you know, WebXR has always been seen as like a second-class citizen compared to native apps that are on the App Store, mainly because, you know, when you're a big gaming studio or a company, maybe from a performance issue, from a performance side, you might not get the most amount out of it. But I think with changes to WebGPU and just the WebXR standard becoming more standardized and the optimizations with the game engines that we're seeing, I think that, you know, we're pretty excited about WebXR becoming on par with native apps in terms of performance. And I think, you know, additions like PWA, and hopefully, you know, there's a lot less gatekeeping on, you know, the hardware manufacturer's side, so that we can get PWA apps into the app stores. And I think one of the main benefits of the app store is always discoverability and finding users, right? So, you know, one of the things that we've been trying to work on with Zesty is, you know, can we find users for other WebXR developers using our network that we've, you know, with the SDK that gets loaded currently about 500,000 times a month, it's seen by 200,000 people every month. So I think that provides a good starting audience for anyone that's building WebXR apps, but definitely, you know, getting on par with App Store native apps is probably something that's close to the horizon. And I think there's an education process that needs to happen. Just teaching users that, you know, one of the things that we've been excited about when we play multiplayer, you know, when we play Robot Rally with the users on the Quest and other headsets is they didn't know that they can play a multiplayer game in the browser. It's like their very first experience playing games in the browser, and they're like, wow, this is actually quite fun. And we're able to hear that in real time because there's voice chat and they comment on it. So yeah, that's something that's we're excited about.
You captured a lot of what we're excited about. You know, it's there's so much in what you just said, but let's go to Jonthan next to get. So what is exciting for you about what is on the horizon for WebXR? Oop. Let's get your audio sorted. Let's go to Keith. Keith, what's exciting for you about the horizon on WebXR?
For me, it's seeing more and more people getting into it, and as you know, people first having a multiplayer browser experience, or first just an immersive educational experience, that it's great seeing more and more people see this as a thing and see the possibilities too, and especially for students that finding out that they can be a part of this and make something and get into this area. That's really exciting for me. So it's really growing. It's in the short time that I've been involved here, I've seen it grow so much. So yeah, looking forward to more.
Yeah, absolutely. Mats.
Yeah, so back to where I started, to get the web to be the most important use case also for all HMDs and use the most, and also finally to make it easy to make the transition from this to the desktop and back, because each have their benefits, and it must be much easier with a link to just go between environment. And I believe we're going to see a lot more of that in the next year.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jonthan, do we have audio? Okay.
I really don't have much to add. I think the benefits of the web generally outweigh the native platform. There's some challenges that remain, but those are fixable. So what will remain in the end are the advantages. And therefore, I believe with more device adoption and just generally the communities expanding, the web is going to be the future of most XR applications.
Absolutely. Well, you guys covered it all. The only thing that I would frame within this is, you know, the last 2 years or so, we've heard ad nauseum, what is the metaverse? And everybody's trying to describe what the metaverse is. And not that we need another definition, but to me, it's very sort of simple. It's a virtual universe. It's the web that we're inside of, and all of these services, whether we're talking about WebXR inside of a browser, we're talking about an app, anything that you attach to in a headset, the Internet of Things is all the internet. So this is all, the metaverse is the next evolution of the internet, but one that we're inside of, the matrix, if you will. So, going back to the way Elijah put it at the beginning of this was that WebXR has been a second-class citizen to native apps. And I really, what's exciting for me is to see its continuing emergence to be something. And now that we have more choices for more users to experience WebXR on more devices, I think it's going to have an exponential effect in the adoption rate worldwide, and the buzz is just going to continue to grow. And, from there, we're going to, see the immersive web become a major thing. So with that, everybody, I'm very, and I completely forgot to turn off Elijah's thing. Sorry about that. This is the wrap up of this. We have Brian Cardell coming on next. I want to thank you all for coming here to talk about the importance of the immersive web, and it's been a terrific panel. Thank you, Ayşegül, for coming on earlier, and everybody have a wonderful day. Audience, please stay with us. We have Brian coming up. I'm going to bring Brian onto the screen now, and I'm going to say goodbye to our panel. Thank you, Mats Lundgren, Jonathan Hale, Keith Chan, and Elijah Tai.
Bye.
Thank you for having us.